Hi everyone, Dr. DeFelice here. Today we are going to talk about word choice in our second scientific writing lab. It's going to be a quick lecture, so let's just get right to it. I like to start off with these little quotes. So we have a quote from Hamlet here. Polonius asks him, "What do you read, my lord?" And Hamlet says, "Words, words, words." So, principles of word choice in scientific papers should be precise, simple, and necessary. And always keep in mind you do just want to use few, if any, abbreviations. So, precise words, your words should be as precise as your science, it's been said. It should be, your word choice should be as precise as threading a needle. So, you want precise, definite, specific, concrete words that evoke a mental image. And when you think about it, something like dog evokes more of a mental image than a word like animal. Pattern of discharge evokes more of a mental image than response characteristic, because response characteristic is just a general response. When you think about a pattern of discharge, you really know what you're thinking about. Words that evoke mental images help make your writing easy to read. Abstractions like animal or characteristic, they make reading difficult. So let's think about this one. Which one of these is more precise? Renal blood flow was drastically compromised when the aorta was obstructed, or renal blood flow was reduced by 80% when the aorta was obstructed. Well, obviously, the second one is more precise because we get a picture of how much the renal blood flow was reduced by. You want to use simple words, avoid fancy words. So, in scientific and medical writing, we have to use technical words. They're big words, they're long words, they're fancy words, they're heavy words. What you want to do when you have a choice is to choose simple words for the rest of the sentence to keep your writing from getting too heavy and too difficult to understand. For example, instead of the word utilize, just use the word use. If an idea is simple, don't make it complex. And if an idea is complex, write it as simply as possible. So let's talk about our simple words. Which is simpler? Blood samples were drawn from the 5 female and 3 male children at 1/2, 1, 2, 3, and 4 hours following the initiation of dialysis. Or blood samples were drawn from the 5 girls and 3 boys at 1/2, 1, 2, 3, and 4 hours after beginning dialysis. Well, obviously, the second one is simpler. You want to just use necessary words, okay? Use the fewest words possible. Be as brief as possible without compromising clarity. If it takes more words to be clear, then of course you're going to use more words, but a lot of times we can just keep it simple. So, which one of these examples uses only necessary words? Maximal coronary blood flow further decreased endocardial diameter and increased wall thickness during systole. Both the decrease in systolic endocardial diameter and the increase in systolic wall thickness were greater when the pericardium was closed. Now, I've read that sentence a million times and I still get lost in the middle of it. There's 2 sentences there. But the second example is maximal coronary blood flow further decreased endocardial diameter and increased wall thickness during systole. Both of these changes, so that of these changes makes reference to the endocardial diameter and the wall thickness during systole were greater when the pericardium was closed. Obviously, the second example uses only necessary words, and you can see that using only necessary words makes the information easier to understand. Also, we're going to try to avoid abbreviations when we can. So if we have something like this study measured the responses of forearm blood flow, FBF, and forearm vascular resistance, FVR, after isometric hand grip exercise, IHE, and related them to plasma norepinephrine, NE, and epinephrine, E, in 12 normotensives, N, and 14 primary hypertensives, PH. IHE was performed at the 30% of maximum volume, blah, 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 blah. You get the point. There are way too many abbreviations in this sentence or two, or three, or four. There's probably 4 or 5 sentences here. It's too much. It's overwhelming, and we can't remember what each of the abbreviations stands for. So when do we use abbreviations? Well, we use the abbreviation when it's well known or standard, like DNA or milligrams or any of those units that we're all familiar with. We can also use an abbreviation when a term is long and unwieldy. Instead of saying tetradecanoyl forbol acetate, we can just say TPA. And then we keep referring back to TPA after we've defined it, right? When it appears a great many times in the paper and is somewhat long or unwieldy. So if something is long or unwieldy and it appears like more than once in the paper, yeah, you can definitely use an abbreviation. I would say even less than 10 times, maybe more than 4 or 5 times if it appears that many times. Also, you want to avoid accidentally interchanging words that have different meanings. One example is the word affect or effect. So, affect is a verb and it means to act on or influence. So, we talk about how smoking affects health is still a matter of concern to physicians. Effect is a noun, and that is a resultant condition. So, we studied the effect of epinephrine on glucose kinetics. So, in sum, I told you this was going to be a short lecture. Word choice in scientific papers should be precise, simple, and necessary. Use few, if any, abbreviations and avoid accidentally interchanging words that have different meanings. And here's our reference. And just let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.